Hi, this is Ken Boyd with St. Louis Test Prep. Here's our website where you can find links to the books, and also if you scroll down, all the videos, and also my Think Tank, my online academy, accountinged.com, dozens of hours of free content and other tools. You can try it free as you see down in the corner. Try it free for 3 days. So, wrote a recent blog that I wanted to go over, and it deals with starting off with internal control oversight. And coming out of Sarbanes-Oxley or SOX law, you had the PCAOB, which is Public Company Auditing Oversight Board, which, among other things, is created to supervise the auditors of public companies. That is, companies that have stocks and bonds that trade on public exchanges. So that's one player in this blog post that I wrote, is the PCAOB and their function. The second is auditors, and the fact that after SOX in particular, auditors now have a bigger focus on assessing the effectiveness of internal controls. Now, internal controls really exist for two reasons. The first is to prevent theft of assets, and the second is to ensure that financial statements that are produced are accurate. This discussion is about financial statements. And the third player in this scenario is the audit committee of the company being audited. The audit committee is supposed to have some independence. Among other things, they hire the auditor. They receive the audit report. The audit report is addressed to the audit committee. And as we'll see in this blog post, they are required to do some due diligence. They are required to ask questions of the auditor to get some comfort that the auditor is planning the audit effectively. What this talks about in detail is internal controls over financial statements, which is abbreviated as ICFS, internal controls over financial statements. Now, controls are implemented by management. It is management's responsibility to set up internal controls in the first place. The auditor is required to assess those internal controls to see if they're effective. In fact, there is language in the basic audit opinion that addresses internal controls. So the audit in general also requires that if there are weaknesses found by the auditors, the auditors need to inform management, and management needs to take some steps to correct those errors. So from PowerPoint, I'm going to jump over to the blog post itself. Weak link in the chain, material weaknesses in financial reporting. And what I want to do is scroll down to this section of the blog, which talks about this article from the National Law Review. National Law Review. It's titled Audit Committee Dialogue from PCAOB, and I explain what that means in the blog. National Law Review recently explained that PCAOB is publishing guidance to audit committees, so they're giving guidance to those who serve on an audit committee. It's referred to as an audit committee dialogue. This dialogue came out as a result of PCAOB inspecting the auditors of public companies, and this communication explains questions that the audit committee should be asking the auditors. Now, the law review article discussed three different weaknesses. I'm just focusing on internal controls over financial reporting. And the question is, well, why did they feel the need to communicate this and clarify it? Well, it's because of this paragraph. PCAOB performed a review of 2012-2013 audit reports, and they found, and I was surprised to see this, that 70% of the material weaknesses in internal controls were not disclosed until after the financial statements were issued with reporting errors. What that means is that the auditors were not able to find the weakness until after the weakness had caused an error to occur. So this gets a little deep in the weeds, so I thought, well, why don't I put down an example? So Acme Clothing manufactures and sells clothing to retailers, and they have contracts with the retailers, and the contracts allow for certain sales returns and allowances. And let's assume, because it's true in the real world, that those returns and allowances can result in some pretty complex journal entries. Well, if it's complex, if the journal entries are complex, they need to be reviewed. And the weakness is Acme Clothing does not require the controller to review these complex journal entries in a timely manner, and that weakness causes the company to issue financial statements that are materially incorrect. So that's the weak link, is the journal entries. And the question is, okay, what is this audit committee dialogue suggesting that an audit committee ask the auditor about this issue? Well, really three questions. What component of internal controls over financial reporting has the highest risk for material weakness? What keeps you up at night? What could really go wrong? And have you planned your audit test work to address that weakness? So maybe the weakness is the controller reviewing journal entries on a timely basis? Because if he's not, and no adjustments are made, we're generating financial statements based on a set of financials that should be adjusted and have not been. Well, what would you do, Mr. Auditor, if you found a weakness? You talk to management, document it, possibly put it in your audit report if you think it's of a serious enough nature, or footnote it. And what are the steps in your audit plan? Are you doing extra audit work in that area that you feel is a weakness? Because, as I say in this paragraph here, if you have to restate financials, it is a huge issue for investors and lenders and other stakeholders, because those people, those stakeholders, have made decisions based on the original set of financial statements, and now you're changing them after they've already made decisions. So very important to get these financial statements right, and the way to do it is to have procedures to find those internal control weaknesses. So that was the point of this blog post, the weak link in the chain, material weaknesses in financial reporting. Remember that St. Louis Test Prep, you can find all the dummies books, and if you scroll down, you'll see links to all my videos. And my think tank, the online academy, accountinged.com, growing and being added to all the time with content. Lots of content out there now, and you can try it free for 3 days. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.